So, welcome everyone. I'm going to welcome you with our bell today. Maybe invite you to take a deeper, fuller breath. Releasing it, maybe even an audible All of you are muted, so we can't hear you. So feel free to release it, let go, let yourself settle. And welcome to this special, well, I'm going to call it my special little broadcast, right? Or we'll call it our happy Valentine meeting, greeting. I want to call it really a love fest, okay? I danced around in the office today, showing off my jacket. Hold on, I'm going to try to see if you guys can see this. Can you see it?
Yes, we
Okay.
can see it.
Okay. All right. So I came in dancing, of course, and showing off my self-love club. Okay. Hoping Lizzie was going to run into her closet and get hers. I know, I forgot to remind you. So we are officially, today is the first meeting of the self-love club. Okay. It's being birthed right now. So any of you guys here in this meeting, you can join. You didn't know you were joining a club, did you? You just thought it was a webinar. Just kidding. This is Silly Patty, right? I'm feeling really silly and happy because so many people joined today that I haven't seen in a while. So I'm feeling already just lots of love kind of floating through my body. And maybe some of you even feel a little bit of that, seeing some familiar faces. So here we are, learning a little bit about self-love. I wanted to share also that this is my to me from me. Okay, I'm my own Valentine. I stopped. Actually, let me pick them up. Okay, what do you think? Pretty, huh? I told my husband this morning, don't buy me flowers. I didn't tell him I was going to buy my own, but I forbid him from buying them. And I like to buy myself flowers. I've been doing that for a while, but we'll talk about that later. So here we are. Okay. When I say self-love, and maybe when you read just a little bit inviting you to come today, I wanted some people to think about and maybe put in the chat box, what comes to mind when you hear self-love? What are the first things that you think about?
Should we write it down or share it? Like
In the chat box.
in the chat. Thank you. Sorry, I was late.
Yep. No self-judgment for mistakes, self-compassion, compassion and grace. Nice. Positive self-talk, forgiveness. Thanks, Sydney. Yes. All of these things are really part of I think of, first of all, when we think of self-love, just love. How about love, right? A very complicated word, sometimes very misunderstood. It can be defined in so many different ways. So I want us to think about when I'm talking about self-love, today in particular, that we are clear about what we're another one, unconditionally being there for myself and with myself, especially when things are not going well. That's when we need it the most. Okay, Carolina, thank you. We need it the most then, and sometimes those are the times that we turn against ourselves. you know, kind of, smack upside the head or some negative kind of criticism. So beautiful. So I know I already have some seasoned students here, right? Who've even been practicing with me for a while, but maybe some of the people who aren't with us today might have other things that come to mind when they think of self-love. Sometimes people think, oh, well, and I know this because I work with a lot of different people, right? And they tell me this. I'm not making this up, right? In fact, I can remember when I used to think this, okay, that self-love would be conceited, okay, that it would be somehow selfish, that I shouldn't think about myself, that really my love should be for other people. And some of these ideas about love or even self-love were part of my conditioning, okay? I don't remember hearing that. Nobody told me that. So some of this stuff I sort of picked up along the way, and have had to actually, become aware of, which is one of the things I wanted to just touch base on today. Anybody relate to this? And you can even just give a wave of hands. Maybe some of you have seen your ability, have grown in your ability to be more self-loving. Maybe you can remember a time where you were less loving towards yourself. If so, give me a raise of your hand, maybe so I see. Look at that. All of us in the same boat, right? Here we are. Okay, which is so beautiful to hear so many of you share that you have learned and grown already. All right, and I can't wait to hear a little bit more later. So of course, I'm coming to you as a mindfulness teacher, and also a mindful self-compassion teacher. So what I'm sharing today really grows out of the Buddhist practices, out of MBSR and MSC, mindful self-compassion. So I'm sharing about love and what true love, as Thich Nhat Hanh might call true love, right? True love is some of these things that you guys shared, like loving kindness, this compassion. It also talks about joy and equanimity, or freedom from attachment, that when we actually truly love. But what is the essence, the foundation of all of those things is mindful presence, is this ability. And so some of you talked about that, about being non-judgmental, okay? Self-compassion, forgiveness, unconditionally being there. All of these are describing mindfulness. That is at the foundation, mindful awareness. Now, many of you are students of mindfulness and have actual daily practices, so you know deeply what I'm talking about, but some people listening might not actually know what that is and understand that mindfulness is, it's a word that we throw around a lot, okay? It's used often. I'm mindful, I'm being mindful, okay? Where people mistake it for just hearing, listening, seeing, okay? But deeply being present means that we are fully present, full presence, this ability to completely be here now. And in this way, mindfulness invites us to be present, all of our senses, even open-hearted. We're going to talk a lot about like being present with an open heart, okay, which by the way, warning, can be triggering, okay, to open our heart. It can be activating because love isn't always the first thing that flows out. Sometimes when we open our heart, and you may experience it today, sometimes sadness, grief, fear, overwhelm, other things flow out. So that's just a little mini warning I give to people, because sometimes we think we're just going to feel all these the more pleasant side of love, by the way, because there's us unpleasant sides to love. When we love, we feel pain. Okay. It isn't all joy. And that's where the compassion comes in. Okay. Yeah. So mindfulness, really the foundation of everything that we're talking about. And so I think of this as Lizzie and I were preparing and talking about this, that that it requires a practice, that this is something that actually grows and grows and grows. And some of you have already witnessed the growth within yourself already. You're growing every day, this ability to be more and more and more present, more and more loving, more and more compassionate towards yourself and others. Okay. So I wanted to share a little story about, I always think of this special client that because she was one of my very, very, very first in one of my doctoral practicums. Okay. And she comes to mind because I don't know, she was in so much pain and suffering. And I was her first person ever. She was probably like 55. Okay. She was actually, I used to often talk about her. And she was always older than me, but now I'm like at the age that I saw her, right? She is always older than me because she was. But now it's interesting because when I saw her, I'm actually older. Very interesting. Sorry, just a little mind game of time and aging and how long ago that actually was, and but how impactful my work was with her for me. Well, I always say this to my clients. I mean, when they think I'm giving to them and helping them, but it's truly an exchange. And all of my clients have brought me so much love and growth and a deepening of even just my own self-awareness and capacity, has opened my heart more and more. And I was a little bitty, not even a psychologist yet when I saw this client. And she knew there was something in her that knew. I mean, her heart was completely shattered, completely closed. And she knew that she needed to love herself. Okay. And when we would talk about it after doing, I saw her for a year because that's all I could see her. I wanted to take her home with me in my pocket and see her forever. But I was so lucky because I got to pass her along to Dr. Friedman. Some of you know her. She's my colleague and co-owner here at the Oasis. And it was the greatest joy because she was coming into that same practicum and I got to hand her over. So it was so wonderful. But I didn't know how to teach her how to do it. I knew it too, okay? But all the way back then, we're going 28, 29 years ago, I didn't know how to teach someone, okay? And it took me many years after seeing her. I felt I knew how to love, and I loved her, right? Some of my clients think I'm crazy, like, I don't understand. How could you love me? Well, what is true love, right? These things is this loving kindness, compassion, okay? So I loved her. And so I know, number one, that this is part of it, right? To be seen, to have somebody see you and be present, right? Is one of the ways that we feel loved. How many of you agree with that? Just give me a wave. When somebody sees you, they're fully present, okay? You can tell that they completely just accept you, okay? It's just an unbelievable feeling, okay? So in psychotherapy, this is often one of the most powerful ingredients of helping somebody feel loved to actually begin to love themselves. Because what do we teach? We teach them then to see themselves with, and I did this work even though I didn't really know that I was doing this, right? But it was being transmitted, okay? Now I have ways to help people continue it. I can teach them specifically ways to do it. At the time, in fact, when I was working with this client, was the very first time I was ever introduced to mindfulness. And I was introduced, I always sign up to do like the hardest things. My hand goes up first. I throw myself into the fire. It's just a habit I have because I'm afraid. It's not like I'm not afraid. When I'm afraid, I jump fully in. And they offered, who wants to teach this new program, DBT? Okay, this is 28 years ago at Nova. And here I was, I do. I don't even know what it was, okay? I mean, kind of a little tiny bit. And so I was learning about mindfulness. So I was teaching a little bit of this. But at the time, you guys, I 28 years ago, I've grown a lot in 28 years in my own practice of mindfulness and particularly in self-love, okay? I wasn't as shattered as this client, okay? But I had some serious bumps and bruises and reasons why I was not so open-hearted, why I had my heart pretty protected, okay? And mindfulness has been a path for me to grow in this ability to open my heart, not just to others, right? To myself, okay? So when we are hurt by others and sometimes ourselves, right? Sometimes, how many of you have disappointed yourself, done things that you're ashamed of, embarrassed, you actually don't want to ever tell anybody, right? And so these things, when we hide those things, sometimes even from ourselves, okay, but definitely from other people, we close our heart. That's a mechanism where we shut down part of ourself from being loved, okay? So I think about today, since we're working on cultivating self-love, that we should consider this as, first of all, practice. So some of you are already on the path, have been for years. Some of you might be the first step that you've taken is today just learning a little bit about this. So I often think of this client because boy, do I wish I had all of this then. Okay. And she got the best of me at the time, right? For sure. I know that I actually just loved her to pieces and taught her some skills. But this is today, the practices that are coming later in our webinar today, both of the practices we'll do come from mindful self-compassion. However, they're really grounded in mindfulness. Mindfulness is the foundation. And so I used to not let anyone take mindful self-compassion unless they took MBSR. Do you remember that, Lizzie? I'm like, nope, they're not allowed in. Okay. I've changed my mind since then. Of course, I learn and grow and understand that sometimes people, sometimes MSC is a better place to start. Okay. And for other people, MBSR really is a better place to start. And if you have questions about that later, we can talk. Okay. So a lot of people come to me because they don't feel loved, right? They don't feel loved in their current relationships. I have some psychologists here and therapists here with us on the call, so I'm sure they can attest to many people feeling a lack of love in their relationship or their life. Okay, and so today, I picked today for two reasons. Even if you have a love, you have somebody who's loving you right now, you know, who already this morning said, Happy Valentine's Day. I love you. My mom actually texted me this morning. It was really sweet. And, you know, sent me big hearts. And I know for some people, they don't have their mamas anymore, right? And so you might have gotten Happy Valentine's Day from your moms and dads or your kiddos. The dogs can't really say Happy Valentine's Day, but you know, I could feel their love this morning, a little extra love. I gave them, we exchanged some of that furry snuggle love, okay? And maybe some of you have already wished some of the people that you love just a happy day. Hopefully you do it every day, but sometimes not. Sometimes we forget to do this. Thich Nhat Hanh, I want to share a quote from him that I read from one of his books. If we do not know how to make ourselves happy, it's hard to make another person happy. A true lover is capable of offering happiness to himself, to herself, and to other people. It's possible. You cannot impose your idea of happiness on the other person. You have to understand him or her. That kind of understanding is the foundation of love. And so I found this because this is mindfulness, okay? This ability, and if we think about this towards ourself, how can we love ourselves if we actually don't understand? We don't actually have an understanding. And then we don't have the ability to really understand all parts of ourselves, okay? Which really means what parts do we not, usually we don't understand the complicated parts. Sometimes our darker side, I call my dark side. I thought I was the only one, by the way. I don't know if anyone else thought this. When I was growing up, I was very, you know, a big reader and nerdy kid who wanted to figure things out in life. And so I would, you know, and I would think a lot. And I don't remember if I actually called it a dark side. I think I did. At some point, it became in my mind like a dark side. I was like, wow, I'm really crazy. Okay. These thoughts I have and this whole, whoa. And some of the thing, whoa. Okay. In fact, Lizzie and I talked about this the other day, didn't we? Lizzie has seen lots of my dark side. I share, and she loves me, even all parts, right? And we even talked about this, about coming to love those all parts of ourselves. But part of it is actually understanding. I'm still working on that, by the way. I'm still in the process of growing in my actual understanding. I mean, lots of growth I've done, but I think I'll continue, okay? Because we're limited, right? We, you know, as we grow capacity to see more, to know more, to understand more, to hold more, okay? In fact, my love grows, and so I can actually bring more love to those parts of me, okay, that have been truly unlovable at times, okay? I don't think that way anymore. Anybody, I don't know, is any of this resonating with anyone? Like this idea of having even parts of yourself that, even if you could love yourself, you're like, oh, I take care of myself, you know, but have an idea of like that there's actually parts of yourself or aspects or that felt unlovable. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I got a couple nods. Yeah. Okay, great. Thank God, because I did really think I was the only one. I have since learned I'm not the only one. And so here I am sharing and teaching. So how about this? How about I do our first practice, okay? And this is going to be a brief 10-minute practice. You can do it sitting up, laying down. I think sitting up is preferred for this one. And just a caveat, this is a mindfulness practice that's really bringing in some of the love and compassion, sort of like a, I don't know, like a breath meditation, but really in a loving, gentle way. Okay, so you'll hear some of that if many of you have done MBSR before. It might seem similar, or you've done other meditations. It's called affectionate breathing. So here we go. Just allowing yourself to settle, finding a comfortable, easeful posture. Letting your eyes close if that feels okay for you, or you can certainly leave them open. Maybe finding something to hold your gaze, to reduce sort of looking around, almost turning your attention inward. Maybe just sensing the body sitting here in this moment, taking a breath in, and as you breathe out, releasing any unnecessary tension in your body. And if you like, offering some soothing, supportive touch, maybe a hand on the heart. This can just be a signal for you, some of you who've practiced before, that not only we're here to bring awareness to ourselves, to our body, but we're bringing loving awareness. And you can leave your hand there or let it rest at any time. So in this practice, I'll be inviting you to bring attention to your breath, to feel the breath in your body. If for any reason this is uncomfortable, it's perfectly fine to return your attention to some other soothing sensation, even to a supportive touch. Even just to feel your body swaying back and forth as you breathe. So if it feels right, beginning now to notice the sensations of breathing. Feeling your body breathe in and breathe out. Perhaps noticing how your body feels nourished on the in-breath and relaxes on the out-breath. There's no need to try very hard, really to make any effort at all. We can simply sit, allowing ourselves to breathe in and breathe out. Maybe noticing the rhythm of your breath, letting it be natural. There's no need to do any kind of fancy breath work. Simply observing your own breath at its own pace, rhythm, flowing in and flowing out. Perhaps imagining that you can incline your attention towards your breath, your own breathing, as you would a small child. A precious being. As you begin to feel your whole body breathing, this rhythmic, the rhythmic flow, the movement, allowing your whole body to be rocked by your breathing. If your mind wanders, it's perfectly natural. You can gently return it back to the rhythm of your breathing. If you like, even giving yourself over completely to your breath, letting go of thoughts, just being breathing. And now releasing your attention from the breath and just sitting here quietly in your own experience, allowing yourself to simply notice whatever you're feeling, letting yourself be however you are. Just would like to end with a poem, my balm. I close my eyes and sigh, and here I am lying in the hammock in my heart, moving gently with the soft air of my breath. When I fall from my head past my words, I'm caught lovingly by the hammock of my heart and rocked to its rhythmic beat. It is my peace, my rest, my quiet, cradled in the hammock of my heart. It is constant. It is safe to be held in the hammock of my heart. No place to go, nothing to do, nobody to please. It is my altar, my blessing, my balm, here in the hammock of my heart. So this is another opportunity. We're not going to share yet on with our voices, but if you would like to just put a word or two into the chat, just about what's here now, what you notice. Some of you have done this practice before, and for some, this might be the first time. And even if you've done it 100 times, each time can bring new experiences. Today's a new day. So love to just hear, see, actually I'll read. Calm and present. I really love this practice. One, because our breath is always here. And when we can turn to it with this type of loving awareness, even, I'll add sometimes to it, like I will practice like a gratitude of this precious breath, like I'm breathing. I can feel myself breathing. Anybody, you can give a wave. I have this experience of when I breathe in, I feel that nourishment. It feels good. Do other people feel that? Yeah. And so when I pay attention to what, we breathe all day, right? We're not paying attention to it. But when we bring awareness to, wow, does that feel good? That all day long, our body is nourishing us. Okay. And that letting go, I feel that too. That breathing out, and how simple it can be when we bring mindfulness to this automatic, all day long, breathing in and breathing out, how it can begin to settle us. Really love the taking down the moment to a standstill. The poem was so amazing. Here in the hammock of my heart. Yeah, just me and my heart, no one else. Yeah. Okay. And again, some of you are, advanced practitioners here. This is not always an easy thing to do, is, to be here in our heart, especially when we're with a lot of pain and suffering right now. So I just really want to acknowledge that for anyone who's physically or emotionally in a place and hasn't really deepened a practice like mindfulness or self-compassion, that beginning even a simple practice like this can bring on quite some pain and grief. And that's part of what we want to bring even more love to. So I have a second practice. Okay. Let's see. I just want to see love hammock of my heart image. Yeah. Feeling present, tender, and sweet to myself. Yay. Who doesn't need that? Right? Feeling tender and sweet towards ourselves. I love that. Okay. I hope that we'll all leave today with invoking some of that tender, sweet love towards ourselves. Okay. All right. So my second practice I'd like to introduce. Now, one of the things I also didn't mention, that the two practices I chose to share a little bit with today, both of these are come from MSC, and they're core practices. And there's actually I believe like 7 core practices in MSC, but there's like, I don't know, 27 actual like practices and exercises and things that are designed in cultivating self-compassion, which is self-love, understanding, compassion, building forgiveness, equanimity, okay, gratitude, joy. I mean, have you ever felt joy? Have you felt it recently? How about yourself? Sometimes I tickle myself. Not, I mean, literally, sometimes I do too. Okay. I don't know. I know. I know it sounds silly. Not like tickle torture. I mean, like a little tickle. Okay. That's sweet loving. Lizzie, I'm glad you're here today, because how often do I do like tickle tickle, right? Scratch scratch. It's like our little way of loving. Like we like this little soft kind of touch, right? But sometimes I tickle myself inside, like with my silliness. Like I'm kind of silly today, right? Do you guys ever find that you tickle yourself and laugh and bring some joy, right? I think those are those moments where, for whatever reason, we're free. We're free. And that's what Thich Nhat Hanh talks about in true love, is that freedom that can be experienced in any moment, quite frankly. Okay. We think that everything needs to be okay for us to be free and happy and loved. Not true. Not true. We can do these little simple things. So my next practice, some of you have practiced this before in many ways. It's a deep practice. In fact, I brought a couple of my favorite books I want to just share, because these are like pretty much at my bedside almost year round. Okay. I'm almost always teaching some aspect of, the path to mindful self-compassion by Chris Germer, who was my teacher for teacher training of self-compassion, and Sharon Salzberg, Real Love. Okay, so Sharon is really known to be kind of the original Western teacher of loving kindness practices. She brought that from the East to the West, teaching years and years and years ago. These practices, the loving kindness practices, they're considered the heart practices, right? And hence today, what a perfect day to be practicing the heart practice. And I decided to do this really unique one today for us. So bear with me. This will be new for everyone, because I've never done it before like this. So well, maybe you've done it with other people, because I'm not that original. I'm sure other people have come up with this idea. Lizzie doesn't even know what this is, because, I birthed it today. It just happened. On my way here, I said, aha, I know what I'm going to do. Okay. So this is a little special twist on loving kindness practice, because today we're learning self-love. And in traditional practices, you always started with yourself, with loving kindness, because in the East, people love themselves. Okay, they love themselves. It was just a given. It was a given that they love themselves. In the West, that's not so. Okay, and so they literally changed the practices in the way that it's often taught here in the West, at least taught. Eventually, as people practice, they practice it in a more traditional way, where you cultivate loving kindness for yourself, your love, you activate it. And we do this with phrases, right? So you activate the feeling so that it begins to flow through you. And so in the West, because so many people don't love themselves, have lots of harsh criticism, have closed their heart, have been hurt, and lots of reasons why, we actually needed to augment this. But today we're only gonna focus on ourselves. So for any reason, if this doesn't suit you, like it's not a practice, you can try it out, right? If this is your first time, I know the first time I heard loving kindness practices, I was like, ugh, ew. Okay, I had this initial like, ugh, like, I don't know, my skin crawled. Okay, it was really wild. And I always talk about it, which is why I think it took me so long to find it, right? My path was a mindfulness path. It took me to learn mindfulness, to begin to be okay with myself, to actually think about loving myself. And then this practice is, I do it every day. So you can see the growth from, skin crawling. So I always like to say that because people jump on these things and they have no idea what they're going to get. So if you're a first-time person, and all of you that I see, I know you aren't, but I can't see you all. And I don't know who's going to listen to this. So I like to put these little warnings that it's perfectly okay to actually not like this practice. I'm also going to invite you in this practice to imagine yourself as a young child. So for some people, that can be activating. Okay. So if it is, don't do it. Okay. You can stick with just literally thinking of yourself now. So I also like to give that kind of warning that for any reason that's not okay. And quite frankly, if any reason at all you don't like it, you can feel free to, jump off and leave. You can mute it. You can stay on, do another practice. So this is like a full permission of, staying here and enjoying this final practice, or letting go and leaving when you want to. I want you guys to know you have that as well, that freedom. And Lizzie is so kindly going to send it out to everyone, so you'll have it. So here we go. This is one you can do sitting up. I'm going to obviously do an abbreviated one. I would do this longer in a class. There's longer ones within our portal, but today for our webinar, we're going to do a short, brief one, about 5 to 7 minutes. Okay, just to give you a sense of how long we'll be doing this. So here we go. Just allowing yourself to resettle, maybe even turning it back, that attention towards your breath, if that felt good earlier. You might even place a hand on the heart or another soothing, supportive touch. Inclining maybe your attention, yourself towards your heart, towards your breath. As we just really begin to connect with our heart, perhaps there's already a sense from our earlier practice, or as I was talking, that there became a little love activated. And maybe not. Maybe it's perfectly okay actually to feel whatever you're feeling. So I'd like to begin this practice actually first thinking of someone or a being that immediately brings joy, a smile. It could be somebody living or not living, a grandparent, a pet. Not a complicated being, someone who just immediately brings a smile. If you could actually imagine, get an image of this being. And some people don't have a lot of, their imagery is not really strong, and that's perfectly okay. Sometimes it's a felt sense. So just having that sense of this being with you here now, knowing how much you love and adore this being. And join me in kind of silently in your own mind as you hold this being in awareness, repeating these messages, these wishes of love. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you be filled with love and kindness. May you know you are loved. And may you be free, free from suffering. And just thinking about this being, sending these wishes, you might sense a little, maybe a little bit of their love back at you. And now imagine, if you wish, imagining yourself as a baby, a young child, and sending these wishes to that part of yourself, imagining him or her. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you be filled with love and kindness. May you know you are loved. And may you be free, free from suffering. You can stay there, maybe holding this image or sense of yourself as a baby, a young child. You can stay right here and continue offering these wishes to that part of yourself. Or you could draw up another image, maybe an image of you a bit older, a young adult, maybe even at a difficult time. That might be a challenge for some of you, so just any image really that comes to mind, holding yourself in awareness, which could be just right now. And beginning to offer these wishes. May you be safe. Safe and protected. May you be healthy, healthy and strong. May you be filled with love and kindness. And may you be free. Free from suffering, especially any of the suffering you've caused yourself. So perhaps you've connected with one or more of these phrases that seem just right for that part of you or for you right here, right now. An invitation to take a minute or two to repeat all of them or just a few. Maybe even whispering them with a loving, like you would a small child, a precious one. Imagine whispering them to yourself. Just like you, all beings everywhere wish to be safe, protected, healthy, loved, and free. So we could end this sending it out to all beings everywhere, especially those ones who need it the most right now. May all beings everywhere, including ourselves, be safe and protected. Be healthy and strong. Be filled with love and kindness. Know that they are loved. And may all beings everywhere be free, free from suffering, especially the suffering we may cause ourselves. I'd like to also offer one more poem before we open it up for sharing and questions. This one is from John O'Donohue, called Belonging. May you listen to your longing to be free. May the frames of your belonging be generous enough for your dreams. May you arise each day with a voice of blessing, whispering in your heart. May you find a harmony between your soul and your life. May the sanctuary of your soul never be haunted. May you know the eternal longing that lives at the heart of time. May there be kindness in your gaze when you look within. May you never place walls between the light and yourself. John O'Donohue. So at this point, feel free to share in the chat, particularly if you're on a time frame and you need to go. You could certainly, share something in the chat, but I also want to open it up to anyone who would like to share first their experience with this last practice. We'll start there, and then you can also put questions in the chat box, even if you can't stay, by the way, and you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat box because I can answer them. We can send them out in email, so I'm open to doing that as well. So anybody willing to share, unmute and share anything about your practice, this loving kindness towards yourself. To me, from me. It's okay, Joan. Oh, thanks. Lizzie's already putting some things in the chat box too for people who have to leave. I definitely don't want you guys to miss that we obviously are offering some of these classes that can continue the practice. MBSR, MSC coming. I know some of you are signed up already, so I get to see you for 8 weeks. Yippee! Yeah, you want to share, you got? Okay, please do. Thank you.
I just want to say that I love myself, and there's another door open to go beyond,
Ah,
or my dark side.
okay. Ah, wonderful. Thank you.
And thank you very
Yes,
much.
oh, you are most welcome. It's been a joy to see you grow in loving yourself week by week, day by day. I love it. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes. Any other questions? Welcome. Lizzie, I don't know if, okay, got some goodbyes, gotta go. Okay. I think in closing, the recognition, if you're, particularly if you weren't here today, because some of you I know that are here on camera have a sense of you, but there's other people either listening or later listening that I may not know, who may find this actually really difficult, or even have the aversion like I did at one point, and really recognizing that this is a practice, and it is amazing how I've seen myself grow and change. And part of why we offered this was really a taste. And for some of you, it might be just reigniting it for some of you, right? So that you can remember to do these little simple practices, how good they feel, and how you have that ability to keep growing. The inside of you is infinite capacity to love yourself and others. And please, the world needs it. That's really why we're doing it too, because we know people need it. And we so much are dedicated to the world becoming a more loving planet. Okay. That's where we want to live, right? We want to live and breathe in a loving world. Okay. So this is how we do it. I mean, sometimes sometimes we feel like there's nothing we can do. I hear a lot of people hopeless, throwing up their arms. I'm like, whoa, 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 don't do that. Do this. Okay. Do these practices. If you think there's nothing I can do, do this. Okay. This changes the world. So, and I really would invite you. I know we have an upcoming orientation for MBSR. It's actually online. So for people who are not local, the next MBSR is online only. And then the MSC is in person only. Okay. Sometimes we do hybrid, but this time we're closing it and doing it just in person. But stay tuned for other things. I think Christy's doing, isn't she? So she's also doing something coming up on intuitive nourishment. So I'm excited that'll be coming out. So pay attention to that. It'll be a little webinar opportunity for people to do, get a little taste, another taste. So any questions? Anybody? Questions? Got none. Lizzie, what do you think? Any questions coming to your mind, even that other people might have? No, that's okay. I just, sometimes sometimes I have these questions already in my mind. I think about, was this helpful? Let me ask you guys questions. Yeah?
Yeah, nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. This was great. Thank you, Rebecca. Great. I know you're home, not feeling well, so hopefully this helped you. Yes. Well, I guess we'll close today with always really with an invitation, right? This is maybe we'll call it a see you later, a so long see you later. The plan is to see you all again, okay? Whether it's, soon this week or, you know, maybe this summer for Sydney, okay? Or in Sangha, lots of opportunities to see each other online, okay? All right. I'm wishing you all a happy Valentine's Day. May this just be the beginning of a day filled with love. May you continue to cultivate it for yourself and maybe share with others. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. It was a special Valentine Day.
Yay.
Mm, mwah.
Thank you, Patty
But to
Thank
Weezy
you.
and
there.
Lindsay.
Thank you. It was
Glad you
so wonderful.
came.
Thank you so much. It was so wonderful to see all of you.
Yes.
Oh, what a joy. Really, really made my day.